about with the other two. Hi, I'm the Bearded Baron, and I have over 1,000 hours in Phasmophobia, and I routinely play solo nightmare mode just for the fun of it. I put together this guide in the hopes of not only helping out new players of the game, but also returning players who might not have played in a while. In this guide, I'll be showing you how to find the ghost room quickly, how to be more efficient during your time inside the house, and some tips and tricks to help you keep you alive before, during, and after hunts. Now, this guide isn't going to be covering every single individual item in detail, but don't worry, I have a series called Just the Tips where I explain every item in the game in small 1 to 2 minute videos to help it be easily digestible. I'll leave that link to the series in the description below. Also, for this video, I'll be talking about the professional difficulties and below, since the vast majority of player base hunts in those areas. If you'd like for me to make a specific video guide onto Nightmare Mode, please let me know down in the comment section below. Also, if you guys like the video, please follow it and consider subscribing so that way I can make more content for you guys. But now that that's all out of the way, let's get into the guide. Alright, when you start off a hunt in Phasmophobia, there is a main objective, and that's finding the ghost. Plus, 3 optional objectives that reward the player with more money upon completion. Additionally, you can gain money from taking photos and finding the physical remains of the ghost, aka the bone. You can do these objectives in any order, but spending too much time in the house can be bad for your health. Sanity is a player's main concern when ghost hunting. Find your sanity drops below 50% and the ghost can hunt you. During these hunts, the entrance is closed, and if the ghost manifests into the physical world, if they reach you, congratulations, you've received a ghost hug, and now you get to watch your teammates finish the investigation while you hang out in the spirit realm. To avoid this from happening, we need to find the ghost room quickly and be efficient with our time inside. This leads me to my first tip. Learn to listen. Once you've crossed the threshold for the first time, the ghost will start interacting with the environment and thus leaving clues. Oftentimes, you'll hear a clue before seeing one. I recommend taking an EMF reader with you as one of your first items because regardless of the ghost type, interacting with anything gives off an EMF signature and can help locate the ghost room quickly. The other item that I would recommend bringing in, other than a flashlight, is a camera. Apart from it being your main moneymaker in the game, cameras can help you sometimes get an early ghost photo or fingerprints if it touched a door recently. Another tip is as you're walking around the house, it's called resetting the rooms, meaning shutting all doors that you come across once you've thoroughly looked inside and not found anything. This way, if the ghost touches the door and you're not around, then you'll be easily able to identify which one it was when you come back and be able to take a photo of it much easier. Here's an example game on Tanglewood in professional mode just to show you how all of this works. So the first thing that I do is I'm going to grab onto my items, like I said, my flashlight, my EMF read, and my camera. And I'm going to immediately head into the room. Now I'm looking for 3 major things. I'm looking for the ghost room, I'm looking for the cursed object, and I'm looking for the bone. Now I happened to get lucky and I heard a door moving pretty early on, which drew my attention. So I headed over to the area, didn't see anything right off, but then the ghost was able to interact with the door again, and it was allowing me to see that the door was being messed with the EMF reader. So I go ahead and I place that EMF read on the floor, and now I'm still looking for the other objectives. I'm still looking for the cursed object, and I'm still looking for the bone. So I go around, I find the tarot cards, I take a picture of those, and I locate the bone, taking a picture and grabbing that on my way. Now at this point in time, I'm also going to look for the power to be able to turn that on so that way my sanity does not drop as quickly as it would if I was in the dark. So now that we found the ghost room, we need to work to identify the ghost while keeping an eye on our sanity. Normally, I'll grab a video camera, dots, and ghostwriting book on my trip back to the van. The idea here is to simply set up these items and then immediately walk back out. This is because dots, orbs, and ghostwriting can all be seen from the safety of the van. I do not need to be in the house to be able to see these. At this point, depending on what evidence that you do have, you can either start working on secondary objectives, capturing easy to get photos, or bring in additional equipment to help you to identify the ghost. Now you can see in this particular situations that we picked up our fingerprints from the photo camera pretty early on, and while I was in the room setting down other equipment, I did notice freezing temps. Now I know all I needed to do was find that one last piece of evidence, and I had a feeling that it was going to be the spirit box, which is why that I brought it in. Now pro tip number 2, the spirit box will only pick up your voice after about 2 seconds inside the room. So if you're in the bad habit of going into the room room really quickly, asking one question and then leaving, you're oftentimes going to be missing out on the spirit box interactions. Instead, wait a couple of seconds, then ask a series of questions while moving around inside the room, just to be able to rule it out entirely. So from now, after picking up the spirit box, we knew that we were dealing with a mimic. Now, I know that my sanity had stayed pretty high this entire time because I had checked in the van when we went in there. I took one sanity pill just to make sure that it was completely topped off. The power was on and no ghost events had been had. Now, ghost events will drop your sanity apart from the passive sanity drain that you already have. So keep that in mind with any ghost that does a lot of ghost events, as it can cause it to hunt much earlier than what you were expecting it to. So in this particular scenario, we were doing so well, so I just decided to go ahead and fill out the journal with footprint photos. Now, footprint photos are different from fingerprint photos. Almost every single ghost can leave footprint photos with the exception of the Wraith, but not all ghosts are fingerprint ghosts. So keep that in mind whenever that you're hunting. So we took the rest of our photos. I knew that that was going to give us a maximum of $35. And instead of waiting around for the ghost to may or may not appear and may or may not hunt to be able to get that last photo, I just decided to fill it out so that way we could leave. $15 difference at the end of the day, whether or not having to deal with a ghost that doesn't even hunt at all and we can finish it in 5 minutes versus waiting around maybe another 5 to 10 minutes for the ghost to appear and or hunt and risk losing everything, just isn't worth it in my opinion. So if you're doing really well, if you're getting a lot of photos, don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat those little photos, especially early on. Even on nightmare mode, it's only a $20 difference and it's not worth it. Just finish out the book and be able to leave. Another great tip for going into larger matches is actually to bring a candle with you when you're trying to find the ghost room. So instead of bringing the normal lineup of a flashlight, an EMF reader, and a camera, what I will bring instead is a flashlight, a lighter, and a candle. The reason for that is because on these larger maps, a lot of times you can spend a great deal of time trying to find the ghost room originally. So if you have a candle with a flashlight out, it will keep your sanity from dropping. You can just do it with just the candle, but it's much easier to be able to look around and be able to listen for the ghost room, for any kind of interactions while you have that good light source plus the candle there. This works 100% of the time. You can walk around as long as the candle stays lit in your hand. You will not lose any passive sanity drain. Ghost events will still affect it though, so keep that in mind. Now that I've showed you how to find the ghost room quickly, as well as being able to be efficient with your time while inside, now we're going to talk about a few tips and tricks that way you can stay alive before, during, and after hunts. The two best ways that I can tell you to keep yourself from being hunted during a match is one is to keep your sanity above the average of 50%. Now there are some ghosts that can attack you at a much higher sanity than 50%, but the vast majority stay around that 50% mark. The other thing is not to mess with the cursed objects. Now, cursed objects is a relatively recent addition into Phasmophobia, and there are 6 different objects. There is a voodoo doll, a Ouija board, tarot cards, summoning circle, haunted mirror, and music box. Each of these items can either help you to locate the ghost or get the ghost to interact, perhaps even get an easy ghost photo with the summoning circle, but they all come at a major cost. Using each one of these objects drops your sanity down considerably. So if you're not comfortable with it and you're having a hard time staying alive anyways, I recommend just taking a photo of these objects and then just moving on, never interacting with them. Only if you feel comfortable and you're really trying to go for that gusto, extra photos or whatever, then try them out. Another thing that you can do to help you to stay alive during a hunt is well before that happens, as you are exploring around in whatever home that you are in, is to find the place to be able to hide dependent upon where the ghost room is located. Now, this is going to change every time that you go into the map because the ghost room is going to be different. Now, if you are one of those people that stopped playing Phasmophobia, let me tell you some of the changes that have happened for hunting in general so that way you don't get it confused. The first one being is that ghosts now move faster than the players. Originally, it was that you could outrun almost every single one of the ghosts with the exception of the Revenant. Now that's no longer the case. Any ghost, when they have line of sight on you, will continue to get faster and faster until they outrun you. And there are several ghosts like a Revenant or a Raiju that move very, very fast when they get line of sight on you anyways. The second thing, and this is much more recent, as it just made a change here a couple of weeks ago as the making of this video, but no longer can you hide behind a door. So with the creation of the nightmare mode, a lot of the hiding places that people normally were able to hide in, like lockers or closets, became full. So players needed to find a way being able to hide. So a lot of players started finding out that hiding behind a door was the best alternative because the ghost wasn't able to see you in the particular spots, or you even had some OG spots that made you almost completely invulnerable from being able to be hurt by the ghost. Well, the developers have fired back, and now if you hide behind a door for any reason, here's what happens. The ghost, as the program itself, as the game itself, will walk up to a door and determine whether or not that the door is open. If the door is open, it will do a check to see if the player is behind the door. If a player is behind the door, it will instantly kill the player. There is nothing that you can do. There is no more hiding behind doors. There's no more exploiting these spots. So do not use them. What I recommend instead is finding the kind of pre-approved spots that the developers have put into the game. A lot of these are little nooks and crannies that you can wedge yourself behind, or perhaps other kinds of furniture. Now, this is going to require you to do a bit of scouting as the match starts off, but just keep those in mind as you are doing your investigation, so that way if the ghost does hunt, you have a place that you can run back to immediately. Now, when you start off on amateur mode, all of the lockers and closets are going to be open to you. But here's the thing, I don't recommend you using those or relying on those, because as you progress up into the harder difficulties, those are going to become less and less available. So it's much easier for you to just be able to learn where those other nice hiding spots are that aren't a closet, that aren't a locker, so that way if you do play it on a harder difficulty, you're not caught off guard. Now, let's say that you do find yourself in a hunt. The door locks, the ghost starts moving towards you. What do? There's a couple of things that you do have at your disposal. The first thing being is that you want to break line of sight with the ghost. As long as the ghost can't see you, you have a much better chance of being able to survive. So any opportunity that you do get to be able to shut the door behind you or cut around a corner like a 90-degree angle, so that way the ghost can't see you, one, the ghost isn't going to be able to move as fast, and two, it's going to have a harder time tracking you. The next thing that you want to do is that you want to hide in an area, already have in mind where you're going to run to and be able to hide. 3, make sure that the door that you're trying to run into, whether it be a closet, a locker, a little nook and cranny, whatever that it is open and it is the fastest possible path for you to be able to get from point A to point B. The reason being is that I have died numerous times from having a door shut and not knowing in the heat of the moment which way that the door opened to be able to escape the ghost in time. Once you do find your hiding place, shut the door behind you, crouch down, and keep quiet until the hunt is over with. Now, if it does happen to find another player and kill them, the hunt will immediately be over. Now, the only exception to this is nightmare mode. If that happens during nightmare mode, the ghost will continue to hunt. So if it finds all 4 players, it will kill all 4 players in a single hunt. So now that you've survived your first hunt, now you need to make it outside the front door as quickly as possible. You have roughly about 30 seconds to be able to get outside of the house before the ghost can hunt you again. So in that time frame, head out as quickly as possible, check out in the van, see who's low on sanity, take a couple of sanity pills to be able to get back up, and then reassess where you need to go from there. Another pro tip that you can do to help prevent a hunt is to put down crucifixes in the room. Now, the crucifixes have an AoE effect, or an area of effect, of about 3 meters of a range. So putting them kind of diagonally in the room is what I like to do as a way of being able to keep the ghost from hunting. Now, if you do notice that the ghost has taken a chunk out of that crucifix, congratulations, you have prevented a hunt, but you've only bought yourself about 5 seconds before it takes out another one. You only have 2 additional chances for the ghost to hunt per each crucifix, so keep that in mind. And those can go very quickly. So within 30 seconds, the ghost can eat through every single one of your crucifixes and then still be able to hunt you. Last but not least, we have smudging. Now, smudging is a great way to keep the ghost from being able to hunt you. Smudging in the room around the ghost will prevent the ghost from hunting, guaranteed for a minimum of 90 seconds. But a more professional approach to that is what you can do. It's called smudging through the ghost. Now, let's say that you have a smudge stick and a lighter with you and the ghost approaches you. By using the smudge stick, you, in a sense, blind the ghost from being able to see you, as well as being able to get a couple of invulnerability frames, meaning that you can literally run right through the ghost if need be to find a better spot to be able to hide. This comes in clutch a lot of times, so I highly recommend it. I also recommend just kind of starting off and practicing around with this because the timing, depending on the ghost and depending on the speed, can be a little bit difficult to overcome at first. But I guarantee you, once you have it down, you'll feel much more comfortable going up against a ghost in a hunt. Alright guys, that's my guide. If you like this video, please like it, share it with a friend, and subscribe to the channel so that way you guys don't miss out on any more content. Also, keep a lookout in the future as I make more guides for you guys, and I'll keep you updated as any new changes occur. But happy hunting, and I'll see you guys next time.